Hey, Justin here, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about this wild slasher movie, Maniac 2, aka Fanatic, aka the last horror film starring Joe Spinell, written and directed by David Winters, and also starring Caroline Munro, also from the original Maniac. This movie has an insane story behind it. There's no way that a film like this could be made the way it was back then now. It just wouldn't happen. So I want to go into the crazy way this movie was filmed, how it came to be, and then we're going to go over this amazing Blu-ray release, 4K Blu-ray release from Severin Films. So after working with Caroline Munro, Joe Spinell wanted to do another movie, and him and David Winters cooked up this crazy idea about a delusional filmmaker, Joe Spinell's character, who is hell-bent on making a film with his favorite starlet of the time. He's obsessed with this actress, Jana Bates, played by the beautiful Caroline Munro. So he's decided he's going to leave his home, take a plane, go to France, and basically stalk and force this actress to be in his film. So all the while, as he's making through his travels, he's going through the hotels and all these locations at Cannes, he's filming while he's killing people, while he's stalking Caroline Munro, Jana Bates' character. It is really wild how this movie came together, and that's basically the whole movie. He leaves his home with his mother, played by his actual mother, Joe Spinell's actual mother, and he goes to make this wild film, all the while sort of lying to his mom with letters and phone calls saying, "They love me, I'm making my film, I got my favorite actress to be in the film." In reality, he's just a psycho stalking this actress committing illegal murders. This is a genre of films and an era of filmmaking that I always love. Filmmakers like Bill Lustig, Frank Henenlotter, these gritty 42nd Street New York filmmakers. I love the vibe of these films. They feel so real. And because this film was shot guerrilla style for a lot of its sequences, especially in the Cannes, it has that gritty New York grimy feel that I love. It really does feel like those movies, and it feels a lot like Maniac, although Joe Spinell's character in this has a lot more humanity to him. Although he is committing murders, he's not like the mindless psychopath that you see in Maniac. There's also a nice little twist at the end of the movie that I was not expecting. Not a lot of gore, but there's a decent amount of gore, lots of boobs, lots of amazing 80s fashion and culture. Movies like this this movie came out in 1982 or 81. Movies like this that are in the early 80s, they feel like 70s movies, just because it's so hyper stylized, the discos and the neons and the makeup, and it's really incredible. The movies like this are true time capsules, and this release from Severin is absolutely amazing. Inside the package, you get a nice little slipcover. It's not a sturdy box. It's great. It's embossed. It's got a nice color. I do wish it was a little more sturdy. It's a little flimsy. Be careful with it. You get the disc itself with the alternate cover with the last horror film on it, and our star, tied down by film strips and stuff. You get this really nice book that comes with an essay, How Not to Make a Horror Film, as recalled by Judd Hamilton. That was the producer and one of the writers of the film, and he tells the whole journey of how they made this crazy guerrilla-style film, and as well as an interview with the director during the Cannes Film Festival, giving more insight to the making of the film. Getting into the special features, on the Ultra HD disc, you get a audio commentary with actress Caroline Munro and Fright Fest's Alan Jones. He's the director of Fright Fest. This is a fantastic commentary. This was a somewhat recent, I'm not sure when the interview was done with Caroline Munro, but it is somewhat recent, and they talk about how crazy it was getting all these shots, shooting guerrilla style at Cannes, and how wild the production of this movie was. Super interesting commentary. There's also a commentary with Joe Spinell's assistant, Luke Walter. I was not able to listen to that, but I would imagine that it gives a lot of insight of where Joe's head was at, and his experiences making these films. This too, special features like a father figure, Sal Sriracha remembers Joe Spinell. Also here is My Last Horror Film Ever, illustrated archival audio interview with producer Judd Hamilton, plus all new producer's cut. The Last Horror Film New York and Cannes location visit hosted by Rue Morgue's Michael Ginghold and Severin Films' David Gregory, recapping all of these guerrilla locations in France, in Cannes, where they shot this movie. Really cool batch of special features on here, and a great package. You know, this movie, if you're a fan of 70s and 80s horror films, this movie is almost like a cousin or a little brother of the movie Fade to Black. If you guys have seen Fade to Black, it's about a movie-obsessed guy who's bullied by his peers. So he sort of reenacts all these crazy murder sequences from his favorite movies. This movie is a very kindred spirit to Maniac 2. It really is. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. Also, Basket Case. A couple recommendations. If you like these movies, you'll like this. And if you haven't seen these and you dug this one, definitely check out Frank Henenlotter's and Bill Lustig's filmography, as well as checking out Fade to Black. Now, as far as the transfer goes on this, everything looked pretty good. There's some of these shots where they didn't really have time to like pull crazy focus or get a lot of lights, because like I said, this movie was shot guerrilla style, so they didn't have a full production setup for every shot. They just threw up a camera on their shoulders and started getting shots. So although this is a 4K restoration, you can still see a rich grain to it. It's not a flawless, like, you know, picture perfect image, but to me, you don't need it with these grimy films. Something about these late 70s, early 80s grimy films. I want a clean picture, but I don't need it to be crystal clear. Give me some grime, give me some grit, let it sort of represent that sort of guerrilla style, gritty, New York filmmaking that I love. So as far as the transfer goes, to me, it looked fantastic. Great batch of special features on this, a good package here from a film that has kind of been lost. For the longest time, this film in its entirety was lost, especially lots of the gore shots. There was a release of this film years and years ago in the early 2000s, put out by Troma Entertainment, that had some of the gore shots that had previously been lost. They were reinserted into their print of the film, but they weren't restored, so you could really tell every time one of those lost scenes was cut back into the film, it looked like shit. This is a seamless picture all the way through. It looks fantastic. Like I said, not packed with gore. There's a couple decent bloody, gory scenes, but this movie, to me, is just a showcase of like a time capsule, what Cannes Film Festival was in the 80s. Another great, super perpetually sweaty Joe Spinell performance. And it's just, this was a really fun movie. Like I said, I had never heard of it, and I had a fantastic time with it. So if you guys have seen the last horror film, aka Maniac 2, aka Fanatic, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it, guys. Be sure and like this video, subscribe, of course, and I will see you in the next one, guys. I think we're done here. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.